Let's talk about a city in a fight for its life. We're heading to the north coast of Java, Indonesia, to a major fishing port called Pekalongan. This city is literally in a battle against the sea, and right now, the sea is winning. So we're going to dive into this really critical situation and see how artificial intelligence is stepping in to try and predict what happens next.
And look, the stakes could not be any higher. This isn't some abstract problem for the distant future. It's a direct, stark warning from scientists. They're saying that if things don't change, an entire city could just vanish beneath the waves. The urgency here is absolutely real, and that timeline is getting shorter by the day.
So why is Pekalongan's situation so particularly bad? Well, for one, the sea level here is rising faster than the regional average. We're talking about 5 millimeters every single year. That might not sound like much, but it leads to these constant, devastating floods that just wreck homes, destroy roads and buildings, and absolutely cripple the local economy. And this isn't some isolated problem. It's part of a huge national threat, with more than 100 islands across Indonesia facing the same risk this century.
When you're facing a threat of this magnitude, the single most important question is, what's coming next, right? I mean, to plan, to prepare, to protect people, you have to be able to predict. And frankly, that's where the old ways just aren't cutting it anymore. We need a much, much more powerful tool. And that's where our digital detectives come into play, artificial intelligence. Researchers decided to use a specific kind of AI to basically become an investigator, to comb through decades of data, find patterns that are totally invisible to the human eye, and forecast the future of Pekalongan's sea level with some pretty incredible precision.
So the core technology we're talking about here is something called a neural network. The easiest way to think about it is like a computer system that's designed to learn, just like a human brain does. You feed it massive amounts of information, in this case, daily sea level data going all the way back to 1993, and it teaches itself to spot these super complex, underlying patterns that you or I would almost certainly miss. For this investigation, they brought in two types of AI detectives, each with its own special skill. On one side, you've got LSTM. Think of this one as the seasoned veteran. The old-school detective who is amazing at remembering long-term patterns, clues from cases that happened years and years ago. Then you've got GRU. This is the faster, more efficient detective. It's more streamlined and gets to the answer quicker, which is especially useful when you don't have a massive amount of data to work with. But here's where it gets really clever. They didn't just have these AI models look at the past to predict the future. No, they used a secret weapon called bidirectional learning. This allows the AI to analyze the data both forwards and backwards. It's like reading a story from beginning to end and then reading it again from end to beginning. It gives the AI a much deeper, more complete understanding of the entire story the data is trying to tell.
Okay, so you've got these incredible advanced tools. What's next? Well, you have to figure out which one is the absolute best for this specific job. So the researchers basically set up a showdown. They pitted different versions of these AI models against each other to see which one could forecast the sea level most accurately.
So after all the training, all the testing, which one of our digital detectives really proved to be the master forecaster? You know, which one actually cracked the case? The results, it turns out, were surprisingly clear. And this table right here tells the whole story. I mean, look, they all did pretty well, most of them scoring in that very good range. But one model just blew the others out of the water. That Vanilla BiGRU, the one that combines that faster GRU model with that powerful bidirectional learning, it was the hands-down winner.
And just like that, we have our champion. The Vanilla BiGRU model was officially the most reliable detective for this case. It was the one best equipped to actually peer into the future of Pekalongan's coast. The magic number that sealed the deal was this one, 6.26%. Now this number represents the model's average error rate. Or to put it another way, its predictions were, on average, only off by this tiny little margin. But what does that percentage really mean?
Okay, so that number is called the MAPI score. It's basically a standard way to grade how accurate a forecast is. And the rule is super simple. The lower the number, the better the prediction. Anything under 10% is considered very good. So yeah, a score of just over 6%, that is exceptionally strong. All right, with the best model chosen, it was time for the main event. The researchers gave the AI its mission: forecast the sea surface height for the next 960 days. That's about 32 months, starting back in May 2023. the verdict was officially in. So what the AI spat out was this really clear timeline of peaks and valleys. It predicted the sea level would hit its highest point around November 2023, and then drop to its lowest point in July of 2025 before starting to rise again. Seems like a pretty standard up and down fluctuation, right? Well, this is where the story gets really, really interesting.
Because the AI's prediction wasn't just a simple forecast. When the researchers took a closer look, they realized the data could be interpreted in two completely different ways, and one of them contained a hidden warning.
So the first way to look at it is, hey, nothing really out of the ordinary here. When you compare the AI's forecast to all the historical data, these ups and downs look pretty normal. This suggests that, the port could just keep operating like it always has, with no big changes needed in the immediate future.
But then there's the twist. If you take a second, more careful look at only the forecasted data, something else emerges, something much more alarming. Hidden inside those normal-looking fluctuations is a consistent, predictable, and frankly, dangerous seasonal pattern.
Here's what the AI found. It's a clear, repeating pattern. In the first half of every year, the sea levels tend to fall. But in the second half of every year, they consistently rise. This isn't just a random wobble, it's a reliable annual surge. And this is the real danger. It means that every single year during that second half, the risk of severe tidal floods in Pekalongan just skyrockets.
And this right here is the true power of what this AI has done. It didn't just predict a bunch of numbers. It provided a specific, actionable warning. It's basically a calendar of risk, telling officials exactly when the danger is going to be at its highest. So the final question isn't what will happen anymore. The question is now, what will we do about it? With this knowledge in hand, can Pekalongan finally prepare for the coming tide?